Welcome to northwestern Wisconsin. On your left, you will see pine trees. On your right, you'll see a dirt road. And farther north, you will run into a fur post of the 1800s. That's right, my friends. Today we'll focus on the fur traders while referring to Burnett County's own jewel, Fort Folle Avoine. Over 200 years ago, on the banks of the Yellow River, two rival companies, the Northwest Company and the XY Company, settled. Though the Northwest was the first to arrive in 1802, as well as set up a trading post, a cabin, and stockade, the XY Company soon followed in their footsteps, setting up their post less than 100 feet away from that of their rivals. Through the winter, traders would barter with the Ojibwe for the furs, primarily that of the beaver because of its high value in the European markets. Then, when spring arrived, canoes would be loaded with furs for the journey to Grand Portage, which is located on Lake Superior's north shore. It was then at the Grand Portage that traders would gather from hundreds of miles around, eager to participate in the summer rendezvous, which, by the way, is still held on a yearly basis at Fort Folle Avoine. But what's the point of the rendezvous? Well, overall, it was a time for friends to reunite, businesses to flourish, and everyone to overall have a good time. But what happened to the furs after this? Did they just stay up there? The answer is no. After they went up there from the Yellow River, they were then carried on into Montreal and eventually shipped off to Europe. What would happen after the rendezvous? How many rendezvous did they partake in? To answer this, we must look at the records, and the records indicate that the trading posts were active in 1803 and 1804. Plus, through detailed journals of traders George Nelson and Michel Cureau, we know the Northwest Company expanded at one point by adding a third cabin on its compound. Then, after the 1805 trading season, the fur traders loaded their canoes, left the banks of the Yellow River, and never returned. At an unknown time in its history, all the structures of the fort were burned. For the following 165 years, its remains stayed hidden, clinging to the banks of the Yellow River. Luckily, as time would tell, clues to the exact location of the site were referenced in the Journal of Nelson, the XY Company clerk. Along with this, we have a Platteville State University professor, Harris Palmer, who studied fur trade sites, and who remained convinced that the Yellow River site was not merely a legend. To follow up on these suspicions, local residents Jean and Lafayette Connor, whose ancestor John Connor was part of the XY Company, joined Palmer and began his search in earnest. Guided by Lester Hamburg, a local resident, they were directed to a pile of rocks across the river, which is a significant and out-of-place feature in an otherwise sandy area. They began a test dig, and after completed and after many years, the fur trade site was found in 1969. So what? Why should we care about the existence of the fort? I'll leave that up to you. My challenge to you is to go to the fort and see what you feel. Do you feel the influence of the French traders, or the strength and skill of the Ojibwe? Perhaps you hear the Yellow River echo a completely different story. Regardless, the fur traders are a chapter to the American experience, one that is often forgotten.